Hello guys and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. So like we saw in the case of the chloroplast, like how the proteins are targeted, right? So what are those sequences called which is used for the targeting in the case of the chloroplast? In mitochondria, it is known as pre-sequences, right? Now, what about in the case of the chloroplast? Anyone who remembers?
Ma'am, transit peptide.
Correct, very good. So those are known as the transit peptides. Okay, so we have seen like how these signal sequences are helping in the transport of the protein. Okay, now let's talk about the other plasmid or other plastid. Sorry. Okay, so we know that chloroplast is also one type of the plastid. We have got different types of plastids like chromoplast are there, leucoplast are there. So let's see all those difference. It's a very small section. Uh, so what the question which has come from this topic is like, what does the ileoplast contains? Okay, I might be wrong in the pronunciation, but like such questions have come like what is present or what is stored by these plastid or what is stored by the leucoplast or amyloplast. Okay, so what is the storage behind these kinds of plastids? Rest all, it was very simple. Okay, so the chloroplasts are the only one member of a larger family of plant organelles called the plastids. So they plastids do contain the same genome as chloroplasts, but they differ in both structure and function. So we know that chloroplasts is specialized for the photosynthesis and they have got the internal thylakoid membrane system is there. Whereas in the case of the other plastids, okay, they might be involved in the other synthesis of amino acids or secondary metabolites, and but they do have got the two membranes of the plastid, but they don't have got the thylakoid membrane. Why? The clear-cut difference is that only chloroplasts are meant for the photosynthesis. The rest all plastids are having different functions. Okay. So here, if you see in the figure, when you see this, so what they have observed was that these dark droplets, okay, so they were floating in the cytoplasm of this particular plastid. So later they came to know that these are the lipid droplets, which is having the carotenoids present in that. Okay, so this is the example of the chromoplast. So we know that carotenoids of different types and colors are present, right? So you have got the orange, red, green color, all these different, not green, sorry, orange, red, yellow is there. Yeah. So these different kinds of the carotenoids are present. Okay, so all this color which we see in the case of the flowering plants or fruits, it's all because of the presence of the carotenoids. Okay, now coming to the amyloplast. Amyloplast से समझ में आना चाहिए, like amylo, so you can understand that it is related to the starch. Okay, so these are the starch granules which is present. So from here they came to know that there are different types of plastids and they have got the different functions. Okay, for example, chloroplasts are named because of they contain chlorophyll. So we know that this is a green pigment responsible. Then chromoplasts, they don't have chlorophyll, but they have carotenoids because of which they have yellow, orange, red colors. Leucoplasts, they are the non-pigmented plastids. So they are going to store variety of energy sources in the non-photosynthetic tissue. So iska matlab kya? They are responsible for the storage of the fatty acids and etc. Amyloplasts and elaioplasts are for your they store the starch. Elaioplast is for the lipids. ठीक है, ये ऐसे आपको याद रखना है. Now these are the different ways, you know, the plastids have got their fate. So kaisa hota hai, from the plastids only, you know, it is the chloroplast which gets developed. Now depending on the requirement of the plant or the tree, okay, depending on the outside signal, the plastid will get developed into either the chloroplast or the different types of the plastids which is present over here. Okay, so for example, ischioplast is there. This is for your crystalline prolaminar bodies for the precursor of the chlorophyll. Chromoplast we just discussed, now it is for the carotenoids which present over here. Chloroplast is for your chlorophyll, photosynthesis is there. Leucoplast for the fatty acids. Amylo is for the starch. Lyoplast is for the lipids. Proteinoplast नाम से ही लग रहा है. It is the site of enzyme of the protein activity. Okay, this is something which you have to remember. और इसमें से exam में इसके बारे में पूछ चुके हैं. Okay, so these two are done. They have been asked already in the exam. And this is like very simple. कि ऐसे सवाल अभी आए and we'll be getting full marks then. Okay, so all these plastids, okay, they develop from the proplastids. So they are the undifferentiated organelles in the rapidly dividing plant roots and shoots. So as the plant is developing, okay, and what the requirement is, okay, आपका depending on the external signal or the requirement of the plant cell, these particular proplastids will get developed into the types of the plastids. Okay, for example, chromoplast develop from the chloroplast. अभी ये बहुत simple example है. So we have seen that so green mangoes are there, right? Recently also you must have seen. They get, after ripening, they become yellow in color, right? So we say that they have ripened. In few cases yellow होगा, थोड़ा सा reddish होगा, whatever, depending on the type of the mango it is present. So we know that from green color it has converted to the yellow. So what exactly is happening over here? So the chloroplast which is present in the green mangoes, okay, so over there the chloroplast, the chlorophyll, they start breaking down and they get converted into the carotenoids. Okay, and now all these are happening during the ripening. So all those enzymes which is meant for the ripening of the जो आपका starch present रहता है raw mango में, they get converted into sucrose. Are you getting it? Like how our raw fruits are becoming sweet in color. So जो starch रहता है, they get started converting into the sucrose. And that's how they start becoming sweet in taste when they ripe. Okay. Now, this is something which you have to remember. So this is suppose the chloroplast is present. Okay. Now the chloroplast which is present in one of your, let us say the raw mango, now it is getting ripened. So how the thylakoid membrane, the chlorophyll which is present over here, they start getting degraded and gets converted into the carotenoid. So you can see that thylakoid disintegration will start. Okay, carotenoid accumulation, that is lycopene. आपने हमेशा टोमेटो के केस में सुना होगा, but that is nothing but the carotenoids only. Then membranous sac formation, then stromule increasing number and size, all this will start getting changes over here. Okay, so there is a big what is it, the pathway involved in this, in the degradation as well as in the formation of the carotenoids, but at this level it is not required, like what genes are getting activated, everything. What you need to understand is that the chloroplast molecules like thylakoid or the stromule which is present, all these are getting differentiated to the carotenoid conditions. Okay, so because of this, what happens over period of time, the green color is getting converted to the yellow or orange depending on the fruit or flower color. Okay, guys, did you get this point? Like how one plastid is getting converted to the another? Yes?
Yes.
Huh? Okay, good. Now, the interesting feature of plastid is that the development is controlled by the environmental signals and the intrinsic programs of the cell differentiation. So it means what? It is the requirement of your particular cell which decides कि हाँ अभी मुझे chromoplast चाहिए या leucoplast चाहिए, ठीक है? Okay, so in the photosynthetic cells of leaves, chloroplast is developed into the chloroplast. So आपको पता है, so leaves, mainly leaves are going to be present, more surface area is there, and why we need more of chloroplast? Of course, for the photosynthetic, so that photosynthesis, so that they can convert all the nitrogen or whatever molecules present, carbon dioxide, into food, because then that will be transferred to all different parts of the plant. correct? So that's why we have got chloroplasts in the maximum cases, and only flowers have got little color and all. So do you know the reason why most of your flowers are colorful in nature? Like why it is? What is the origin of having colors in flower?
To attract pollinators.
Very good, excellent. Yeah. So it is also important because pollination is also required, right? And you know what happens with the pollination. Absolutely correct. Good. So since most of the proteins present in the chloroplast and the other plastids are encoded by the nuclear genes. See, as I mentioned before itself, in the chloroplast, 95% of the proteins are coded by the nuclear genome. Okay. Sorry. The control of plastid development requires the coordination of gene expression between the plastid and the nuclear genome. So even this is in control of your nuclear genome. अभी प्रोप्लास्टिड क्या बनना चाहिए? क्लोरोप्लास्ट बनना चाहिए, क्रोमो बनना चाहिए, या amyloplast बनना चाहिए? That is decided by the nuclear genome. Now who gives that signal to the nuclear genome? The surroundings, the external surroundings. It will give the signal to the nuclear genome whether I need more of chlorophyll or more of carotenoids. Okay. Now, the chloroplast and the other plastids therefore send signals to the nucleus, which will regulate the transcription of the nuclear genes coding for the plastid proteins. And for example, proteins which is involved in the photosynthesis. Now, if it is giving a signal that the proteins, there is a requirement of the proteins for the synthesis. So, nuclear genome kya karega? It will understand, array, it is for the photosynthesis. So, I should have genes or expression for the chloroplast formation from a proplastid. Getting the point? So you have got the proplastid. Now it gets a signal that ki, array, mujhe, I have to go for the photosynthesis. So of course, photosynthesis is only possible if you have got the chloroplast. So from the proplastid, it will go for the formation of the chloroplast. Clear? This is how the interconversion is happening. So ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बार क्लोरोप्लास्ट आपका इसमें बन गया उसमें बन गया. So they do interconvert depending on the requirement. Okay, so you know, so in the case of, you know, suppose it is amyloplast, starch granules are there. So even depending on the requirement, it can go and get converted to the chromoplast. Chromoplast आपका chloroplast में बन सकता है and vice versa. Then again you have got the proplastid. Proplastid से आपको chloroplast मिल सकता है, amylo मिल सकता है, isho मिल सकता है. It will also give you elioplast. So it is all depending on the function and the requirement of your plant, which will decide the fate of the cell to have more of chloroplast or to have more of amyloplast or chromoplast. ठीक है? Is it clear, everyone? Any doubts, Tanvi?
No, ma'am.
Okay.